Hey guys, it's the Air Raid Lord, and making a impromptu vlog, probably, which a lot of people are doing right now in reaction to the Microsoft announcement that was made only, well, right now when I'm making this video, it was only made mere moments ago. Pretty crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I think in a way I was expecting this because I did see, it was actually my dad who was linking me articles saying how there was some engineer from Microsoft from like Washington State who was talking about how, you know, they fucked up and that Microsoft might be reversing its policies. Well, I guess the day has finally come, okay? Because basically, just to start the video with the news, basically Microsoft officially is reversing its policies on the 24-hour check-in and the used games. I'm going to read this from a website called Shack News. I should probably read this from the actual fucking Xbox site, but... So it says, Microsoft has heard the cries of frustrated fans about the mandatory 24-hour check-in and used game restrictions for Xbox One, announcing today that it was reversing those policies to reflect its current stance for the Xbox 360. In a post to fans on the official Xbox site, Microsoft revealed that now, after a one-time system setup with a new Xbox One, you can play any disc-based game without ever connecting online again. There is no 24-hour connection requirement, and you can take your Xbox One anywhere you want and play your games just like on Xbox 360. Also, there will be no limitations to using and sharing games. It will work just as it does today on the Xbox 360. Regional restrictions on the console are also being removed. Microsoft's Don Matrick said, or Don Matrick, I don't know however you want to pronounce that, said fan feedback was important in making these changes. You told us how much you love the flexibility you have today with games delivered on disc. The ability to lend, share, and resell these games at your discretion is of incredible importance to us, or to you. Now, they didn't say us, to you. Also important to you is the freedom to play offline for any length of time, anywhere in the world. So today, I am announcing the following changes to Xbox One and how you can play, share, lend, and resell your games exactly as you did today on Xbox 360. He said that the company still has faith in its original plan. While we believe that the majority of people will play games online and access the cloud for both games and entertainment, we will give consumers the choice of both physical and digital content. We have listened and we have heard loud and clear from your feedback that you want the best of both worlds. Microsoft had received criticism for its mixed messaging on its policies for the Xbox One. During E3, the company defended its game stance, saying the industry was in transition. Sony, however, chose to capitalize on the controversial policies by announcing that at its E3 press conference that it won't impose any new restrictions on the use of your PS4 game discs. Well, I guess, you know, good news for people. However, I don't really think that, you know, I guess some gamers can say, can stand atop of their rooftops and wave their flags and say, we did it, we spoke for what we wanted, and it happened. Well, I honestly, as I said at the beginning of this video, I kind of saw this coming from a long shot with Microsoft. Sorry, I'm just getting the controller. But I kind of saw this coming. I really did. Microsoft, they would have driven themselves into the fucking wall had they followed through with their original plan. Now, I'm a little skeptical, and I'm also very confused. I have, honestly, if you wanted to ask me right now, what console should I buy, PS4 or Xbox One, I couldn't give you a fucking answer. Like, I don't really know. Because now, the big thing that made the PlayStation 4 unique from the Xbox One, that's been removed. Now the Xbox One allows used games, and you don't have to check in periodically, and you don't have to always have it connected online. However, there are still some things that are staying that I still don't like. For instance, you always have to have the Kinect plugged in, and it always has to be able on your TV for it to basically pick up a signal and stuff. So the Kinect is still mandatory for the Xbox One. You don't have a choice. And also, the Xbox One is $100 more expensive than the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 is $400, and the Xbox One is $500, or $399, $499, whatever. It's the same $100 difference. But those are the big differences. And then you've got the games. Now, now it really boils down to what console is going to give you the games that you want to play. And honestly, I'm going to just say this right now, I'm probably going to end up getting both consoles, to be quite honest. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me just to get one of the consoles and say fuck you to the other one, because there's games on both consoles I want to get, you know. PlayStation 4 has games like Infamous Second Son. I'm interested in seeing that. I still think some of the cross-platform games might be actually pretty good on the PlayStation 4. I don't know, I mean, look, I've been an Xbox gamer for 6 years. I purchased the damn thing in 2006, 2013, 7 years going on right now. So I've been with the 360 for years. I only got a PlayStation 3 in late 2011 due to my fans asking me to get it because I didn't have one, and there were games for the PlayStation 3 coming out that they were asking me to do, which I couldn't. I finally got one in 2011, so, you know, now I'm probably going to... Most likely, when I get the PS4, I'm probably going to sell the PlayStation 3. Like, I don't see a point in keeping it. I might trade it into GameStop or somewhere where I can get some cash or something. I don't think I'll trade in the 360 until I'm completely 100% sure I don't need it and the Xbox One takes it over. Like, I'm not going to, like, sell off these consoles right now until I know that the next-gen ones are really going to replace the ones that I don't have 100%. Also, you have to keep in mind one thing. How trustworthy is Microsoft going to be after, you know, they basically spit in the face of gamers, disrespecting internet usage of people who might not have a good internet connection, disrespecting the used game market and how essential that is to stores like GameStop, and how essential it is to someone like me who has the system of trading in his games. Like, I trade in my games when I get them. You know, most of the time, like, I'll play a game, like The Last of Us, for example. I'll probably play The Last of Us for a good week or two, do the single-player campaign, beat that, and the multiplayer, but there's not much of a reason for me to hold on to that, because, you know, the meat of that game is the single-player. Sure, I'm sure the multiplayer will have some throw-in things, but it's not really something I would want to continue playing, so I'll most likely trade in The Last of Us. And that's what I've done for games like Fuse, which was a kind of sucky game for the 360, so... being able to trade in my games has allowed me to make my money back in a sense. Like, you know, I get like, $30 back and such, and I've been able to use that money to go buy other games. If I don't have that ability, I'm going to be spending more money than I really should. And that really was Microsoft's initial reasoning for the whole fucking restrictions in the first place. It was give me money. You know, all the developers, and it was rumored, the developers and publishers were saying, look, the used game market is killing us. We're not getting enough dollar back from the games we're putting so much time into making. We need some help here. And Microsoft's like, don't worry, we have the most sales and we can do it. We'll lead the industry. The Xbox One is our opportunity to do all these restrictions. And so they did the restrictions. Then they saw the feedback from people, which was basically rioting pretty much. Like, everyone just turned against Microsoft and was saying what a bunch of morons they were for the decisions they made, both at their press conference and E3. And, you know, now Microsoft changes. Like, it's very confusing. Here's something, okay? I'm not going to get an Xbox One on launch. I'm just going to say that right now. I rarely ever get a console on launch, okay? There's really no reason to, because 90% of the time, these consoles have some sort of kink, some sort of bug. Anyone who bought the day one edition of the Xbox 360 probably has, I'm going to bet, 80% of people who bought the first edition of the Xbox 360 don't have that Xbox 360 anymore because it red-ringed or broke in some way, shape, or form. I can contest to that. I bought the Xbox 360 when it first came out, and it lasted till summer 2009 until the thing red-ringed for absolutely no reason, even though I took very good care of it. Probably I took care of it as well as my PlayStation 2. My PlayStation 2 is sitting to the right as I'm looking at it right now, and that thing still works after having owned it since 2001. So 12 years that console's still working. 360 burns out after 3 years. So I'm nervous if I buy an Xbox One, the fucking thing's going to break within a year. Just, oh, you know, we didn't test the hardware, there's something busted. Now, I'm sure I know there's warranty and stuff, but I'm skeptical with how these consoles have been manufactured. Sony notoriously makes their consoles well fit. You know, I just said, I haven't had problems with the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 3 I haven't had any problems with since October 2011 when I bought the thing. Haven't had any problems with it yet. It survived that fucking electrical storm that fried my Xbox in summer 2012, so it's better built than the 360, I can say that right now. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Leave your comments as to what you think. This announcement doesn't really... It's not like it's a shocking announcement, like, oh my god, like, what did Microsoft just announce? It's more of a... How do I say this? It's more of kind of like a confusing thing, because now it's not as easy. Like, I was honestly on the fence about what console I should get, Xbox One or the PS4, because Xbox One, in its defense, has some pretty good exclusives coming out for it. Rise, Dead Rising 3, Crimson Dragon, Killer Instinct, you know, the new Halo, obviously. So, what's the other one? Titanfall. There's so many. Microsoft had actually, I'm going to admit, had an impressive lineup of games at E3. They did. They had a pretty good lineup of games. They really did. Games that I'd actually be interested in playing. And I think that was the whole point of their press conference. They realized that they focused on no games at the Microsoft press conference in May 21st, which was that giant rant video that I made, which has actually been very successful. So I thank anyone who watched that. But yeah, so they realized they didn't have any games at the May 21st conference, so then they had to, like, oh shit, now we got to impress our fan base because they're getting angry at us. So then their whole conference was about games. They did a good job, but they obviously had the whole 24-hour DRM and use games policies looming over their head as the biggest reasons why people didn't want to buy the console. Now that they've announced this, like, what, a week? Just a week. Not even, yeah, is it a week? Yeah, just about a week after E3 ended, okay? Now they make this announcement. Because probably, I'm gonna just play out a scenario. Most likely what happened was Microsoft, after finishing E3 and going back home to their studios, their marketing team and their developers and the shareholders and everyone part of that team probably freaked out. They probably got angry at each other. Probably this fucking Don guy who was in charge of the thing. They probably just were scrambling, just like they were like running with their, it's almost like Europe before it was getting bombed by the fucking Nazis during World War II. Like, they knew a shitstorm was coming and they were frantically trying to prepare for it. And the only way they could was to obviously say, okay, what's the one thing everyone's complaining about? Okay, here it is. Let's fix it. Like, it seems simple, but the corporations don't like to do it. But I think it was such a big glaring issue in this circumstance that I think it was too hard to ignore. It really, you couldn't have ignored it. If Microsoft did, as I said, they would have just shot themselves in the foot, and their console would have sold very poorly compared to the PS4 this holiday season. So, I don't know. This has the potential to change the market. It really does. Now, there's a reason for people to buy the Xbox One. Now, the Xbox One is essentially an Xbox 360 with better graphics and newer games. That's essentially what the Xbox One is. Yes, I know it has other features like, like Skype, and it has these other things, which are cool, but that's the thing. Xbox One actually has some pretty cool features and stuff. I think it was all the restrictions. That's the thing. The restrictions of the Xbox One made it I keep saying this, it made it an unlikable console. The Xbox One actually has a lot more to offer than the PS4. It has more of the interface. It has more, we know Xbox Live is a very tight-knit community of players. It's been a very highly supported service. One of the best, it is the best online service for gaming. And, for the Xbox One to disappoint us like this was, upsetting, but now that they've rolled back the changes, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not. I mean, this is more of like a kind of asking what you guys think, because I don't know what to think. I'm happy that the Xbox One and Microsoft have pulled their heads out of their asses and made this decision correct. But at the same time, like, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I already pre-ordered my PlayStation 4. Now, I could probably cancel that, but I'm still not sure. Like, I don't want to buy both consoles later this year, okay? I'm going to just go on record to say that I'm probably going to buy both consoles eventually, okay? It's not like I'm just going to get the PlayStation 4 and screw the Xbox One, or I'm just going to get the Xbox One and screw the PS4. As I said earlier, there's games on both consoles I want. It doesn't make sense for me to just choose one over the other. Alright? That would have been the case. I honestly think I wouldn't have gotten the Xbox One if they had kept these stupid policies, but now that they've rolled them back, I do feel a little bit more confident in my purchase, especially due to all the games coming out for the console and, you know, all the impressions of the things that I saw at E3 that I checked out. So, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not sure. So leave your feedback. This video actually isn't that long, only 15 minutes. My rant on the Microsoft conference back in May went like 29 minutes, so I'm actually pretty satisfied that this one's going shorter than that. So please supply your feedback on this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know, you know, what you think about these changes. Do you think that you'll buy? Do you think you'll buy an Xbox One now that they've announced all this stuff? Do you think you're still going to stick with the PS4? Do you think Microsoft are a bunch of slippery bastards and they're not going to keep their word in the end? Give me your feedback. I'd like to hear it, and I'm going to sign off. I actually interrupted my playthrough of The Last of Us to make this video because I went over to check my Twitter for like 2 seconds, and the whole feed exploded with this information. I was like, holy shit. Like, at least I know the people I'm following on Twitter can keep me up to date with news regarding video games. So, if I ever needed news on games, I always know where to go. So thank you guys for that, I guess. I actually got some private messages on YouTube, so thank you to the fans who sent those as well. Alright, thank you. Leave your feedback. I'll put this video up probably before The Last of Us footage, and then I'll leave it up as like the channel trailer, which is like the featured video, you know, quote on fucking quote, because you don't have a featured video with the YouTube 1 channel layout, so I'll just do that so people can see it. So, thanks, leave your feedback, let me know, and I'll see you later.